right, so this is session 3 of 4 of Legacy Life Among the Ruins, second edition, aka Lowell messes up James Illis' game online and gets rules wrong and frets about it later. We have done 2 sessions. We did a character and world building session, and then last time we finished out a little bit of the character and world building, and then we went to deal with the threat. And that ended with a showdown, essentially a blowout. And what we're going to do tonight is we are going to do the turning of the age, a short time forward, because I want to walk through that process. One of the things that the book says is you can do that, generationally, or it can be a few years. So I'd like to do this as just a couple of years have passed since the ending of that. And what happened at the end of that last time was that the Deathless Legion, which had been pressing forward, the group went in and were able to get some of their secrets about how they controlled their hordes, were able to destroy some of their stockpiles, and were able to take some of it and use some of their own techniques against them. However, in that process, we had our member from the Eternal Masquerade pass away, destroyed there in that situation. And so we're going to talk about that since we'll have Christo make up a new person from that family. And we'll come back and we'll talk about that after we do the turning of the age process. We're going to play. Of course, tomorrow is the start of Gauntlet Con, so we're going to play until we hit a good point. We may end a little early since various people are on the road or, like me, panicky about this coming weekend, which is going to be exciting. Sherry is playing several games and is also doing some online hosting, so she gets to be roped in on the process as well.
So does Maria.
Yes, Maria is running games and doing panels and kicking ass and taking down names. So that is what is going on that side. I want to talk about the turning of the age process. I want to get to that. So what we do in that case is when the age turns, everybody is going to roll plus mood for their family, and there are a set of results that come from that. And then each player is we're going to stop off, and they're going to do a 6-part thing. Some of this is in the forums, but I want to talk about this briefly. Each player is going to talk about the broad story of their family over that passing of time. If you want to make changes to your doctrine, lifestyle, assets, or tradition, you can make those as you desire. You're going to name a new custom you develop to remember this time. You're going to add a new threat, opportunity, or faction to the map. That can be a new thing or modifying or breaking off part of an existing thing. We'll add or adjust map elements based on that. And we'll also pick, you can have your established character, or if you want to, you can pick a new character. Or in the case of Christo, he has to pick a new character. So that is what is happening there. There is a list of trials and fortunes, and let me see if those are in the handout sheets. I think they might be, but I can't remember if they are or not. Come forward here. Whoops, that was dumb. That's me messing up with this. Okay, that zooms in. Okay. I'm about to curse.
I don't see them personally.
The Legacy 2E V 1.6 handout sheets, they're at the top of that folder.
Oh, you meant those. I thought you meant in the spreadsheet, like a specific
Oh, no,
table
no.
for that.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Let's see here. Okay. So we do have a reference sheet that lists the various trials and fortunes for the families. And that's actually, if you look at the handout, the 2E 1.6 handout sheet, it's actually on page 38 of that. It's like we're doing a homework assignment. So, Stephen, remind us about your family, the Envoys.
Enclave. Yes,
Enclave,
the
that's
Enclave
right,
of the
Enclave.
Python lore. So the family is, they basically collect technology. In this case, it's biological technology. And the way that they do this is they have herds of biological animals that have been gene engineered or bioengineered to perform different tasks. One of the animals we've talked about is they have a small herd of flying animals that can get you from one place to another within the land very quickly. Another thing that we talked about is they have some small gathering bug kind of creatures that are almost symbiotic with the members of the family that will go out and search for other biology and come back, that kind of thing.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with you rolling with your family's mood, which I believe everybody right now is at a -1 on mood.
And I rolled an 8, so that gives me a 7.
Okay. So on a 7, you're going to choose one of those trials and one of those fortunes from the list, and people can duplicate on this, and you're also going to get 1 tech for your family.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to do that now?
Yeah, actually, let me walk through and let me have everybody roll.
Okay.
That way they can think about what they need to pick while we're working with you. So Maria, why don't you go ahead and roll for your family?
Do you want me to describe my family first?
Well, no, I'll come back to you and have you describe it. I
Okay.
just thought we'd have you do the roll now, so you can think about it, know what you need to do.
That is an 11, so it turns out to be a 10.
Nice. So you're going to pick then 2 of those fortunes, and you're going to gain 2 tech.
Correct.
And then Christo, can you roll?
Yep, I rolled 11 on the dice, but -1, that means I got a 10.
Okay, so you're going to get 2 of those fortunes off that list,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to get 2 tech. And then Sherry, if you would roll.
I got 2 6s. So
What
I got a 12.
the what? So you're going to get 2
Sorry,
fortunes,
Lowell.
and you're going to get 2 tech. So why don't you guys think about all your delicious, exciting Christmas delights of fortune that you're going to get there. And I'm going to come back to Stephen. Stephen, what are you thinking about for what you'd like to pick for trials and fortunes?
So I've gotten through the trial. The thing I'm going to pick is something monstrous from out in the wasteland. Took a particular dislike to my family and has been hounding them ever since. Say some secret you've learned about it, gain 2 tech from scavenge parts of it, but take disadvantage on family moves against it.
Ooh.
So the idea that I had was that what this is a since it says a monstrous from something monstrous, this is a large creature. So think about it sort of like a herd of elephants that are armored in some sense and maybe have horns, like my family does, they went out and tried to domesticate it to a certain extent, and these creatures didn't like it. So I think the tech that we gained is maybe we gained a couple of the children, a couple of the babies that we're trying to start our own herd with. However, the rest of the herd knows that and hates us for it.
Oh, okay. They can smell it on you. They've got that as sort of a pheromone scent that they've got passed among themselves. So disadvantage. Okay, against them. I like to imagine that your family probably went out to the far eastern edge, as we've established that past that is sort of a dangerous land that people don't go to. So what did you want for your, so that's your trial, right?
Yes.
And what do you want for your fortune?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say my family found a hidden vault still intact from the world before. Say what its true treasure was and gain 2 tech from the initial scavenging. However, decades of delving have left you isolated. Gain, need, trade.
Okay.
So what this is I think we described on the map in the land. I thought there was an old laboratory kind of thing from the time before. Is that the Salvation?
The Salvation. Is that the Salvation? Well, there's a university there. We established that, and we established that your place was certainly in an old lab. We also had the Menagerie, which is the thing. I suspect the Salvation is the closest we have to that kind of old vault place.
Or the Menagerie, that was kind of like a zoo, right?
Yes.
So, okay, let's say that basically they found under the Menagerie a vault where before the fall, it's sort of like a breeding vault that the old ones had basically gone, and it was kind of how they developed the Menagerie. And so that's the treasure that was there, is they've gained more information and possibly been able to enhance the technology of the creatures that they have right now. However, so it says decades, but I think in this case, I think that they've become isolated and stepped out from the group. So I think that what that means is that there's kind of a power vacuum where everybody else has gotten used to living without them, and that leads to the need that they need to work their way into trading again because they haven't been trading for quite a while.
And I also imagine that having to go that great distance, because that's a significant distance away from your enclave, that's probably cost a lot in terms of resources.
Now remember, I have those flying beasts that could travel that distance, at least for a small number of people. Well, it says a dozen people. However, from that comes, in order to use that, it uses up precious fuels. So this is, I don't know, maybe a special food or something like that these creatures use. So I think that's another part of the trade need.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you think that any of your doctrine or lifestyle or traditions have changed as a result of what's gone over the last few years?
The only thing I can think of is possibly, under my doctrine, I have holding back another fall. When a piece of dangerous tech is brought back from the to the family, they can break it down into 2 tech. So maybe that last event that we just talked about, that sounds dangerous. You know, they just found all this stuff. So that's a possibility.
That they want to change that? Do you want to change your doctrine there?
Yeah, I think actually I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it where it is. The other doctrine actually leaves me with a need of avarice. And I think that kind of fits in with the need for trade.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Tell me they say a custom that you develop to remember this age, but let's just say, what's a new detail about your family, a behavior, a custom, a thing they do, thing people know about you that has kind of grown over the last few years, something people associate with you or something that you associate with yourself?
Yeah, so I think a lot of this revolves around that hidden vault that they found under the Menagerie. It's sort of like an underground cave where the ancients kept things. And because of that, the Enclave has become a lot more nocturnal.
Okay.
So I think the sun is something that they tend to avoid now because they've been doing a lot of work at night or underground. They've been doing a lot of work underground, which means that it's more comfortable for them at night. So they've become more nocturnal than they were before.
Especially since with some biohacking, you can always make yourself more, make working in the dark more doable, and so maybe some of that has happened as well. So you can add a new threat, opportunity, faction to the map, any kind of weird things. So you come up with something to add to the map. What do you think you want to put on there, or what do you want to change to something new, or break off from something to make something new?
Well, right now the Deathless Legion kind of screams out, but I'm going to leave that for somebody else.
Okay.
I think that so does this need to go through the landmarks section of the playbook, or just create something, or?
No, just create something. You don't have to. I don't think you have to do any kind of restrictions on that.
I'm going to use one of these, one of the landmarks from my playbook as a touchstone, which is
Okay.
a spot where the laws of physics were unraveled. So I think what this is maybe there's an area. I wouldn't say laws of physics, but I would say more along the lines of an area where a different kind of tech than biology exists.
Okay.
And it's so foreign to us that we kind of shy away from it.
Okay. Like when we established that the sort of the conventional hard metal tech isn't a thing, so maybe some kind of fields or auras or something like that, something that's more ephemeral.
I like that. I think that maybe there are an area of creatures that actually use psychic emanations. So
Okay.
they have auras around themselves that they can communicate with that's just completely foreign. And whenever you get too close to them, they know more about you than they should.
Okay. All right. And where do you want to put that spot?
I think these are from beyond. So let's put them in the far right-hand corner. So just put something up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what do you want to call them?
The Wrong. I'm going to call them The Wrong.
Okay. Awesome. All right. I'm going to let you do that. Ooh, a little star. Star to guide themselves by. All right. And we're adjusting that. The map elements. I assume you want to stick with your previous character, or do you want to make a new character?
No, I think I'm good with my character. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Maria, let's come to you and talk with you about your two brilliant and delightful fortunes that you have received there for your family over this time.
I am still pondering because.
Oh, okay.
But I think one of them is the windfall. So I gained 3 surpluses of my choice, but I gained need idle. I just need to pick the 3 surpluses.
Okay.
All right. And then I have another one as well, and I already added the 2 tech. So.
Okay.
I think I'm just gonna remove the 3 needs that I have right now and turn them into neutral.
Okay.
So if that's how it works, I don't remember correct. I don't.
Yeah,
remember
you can use surpluses to negate needs. So you can do that, but you'll end up you'll still have the need idle then at the end.
Correct. And that's one of the things. So let me raise my mood up to +1.
Okay.
Since that changed that.
Yep.
And
let me mark that on my notes for your family.
think I am going with. I'm not sure if. Let me think. I want to say I mean, since it's the Hell Swords, I think I'm gonna do the war one. So
Okay.
plus one grasp and surplus weaponry, which I already have, but that means that it just translates to something else, right?
Yes.
All right. So mood +1 and grasp +1, but I get disadvantage with some of them.
Get disadvantage with
With the
someone.
faction that with someone that holds a grudge, all reach
Okay.
moves,
Right.
moves specifically. So
Reach moves until they are dealt with for good.
yeah. All right.
And who would that be?
I think the lawgivers.
Okay. And what was the context of that?
So, so I'm thinking that we. I don't know. Let me look at the line again. So, I'm thinking that that we were still moving, even though the Deathless Legion were not as big of a threat,
Okay.
and we were still in that direction, and we crossed paths of the Seven Mercies. We got into a big scuffle, and we got a bit more land, but it interfered with their territory. So
All right. That makes sense. They are well wary of you. And do you want to change in doctrine, lifestyle, tradition? Any of those, or are you good with those?
let me look at those because I was looking at the
Sure.
fortunes. Doc- so it's doctrine, lifestyle, or what else?
Doctrine, lifestyle, tradition. You could also change over your assets, but we're going to hold off on that until we kind of go back and look at those.
Yeah. I was my looking for what was the lifestyle that I already had.
Look at your sheet.
I'm trying to find it.
Let's see. Lifestyle, maybe style.
I could have sworn it
I think
was
that means like your
Yeah.
appearance. Yeah. Masks, helmet, decorate according to rank.
Oh no. I think the nomadic disperse settled. I'm looking to see what I already have for
Okay,
those.
yeah, that's right. So
Yeah,
you have
I'm not-
settled.
Where is that? Oh, there we go. I
Uh,
think it's more dispersed now since more reach.
okay,
So
so you can flip that.
yes. And
All
I think
right,
that's the only
and
change.
okay, and then you get to add a threat, opportunity, faction, as I mentioned with Stephen. What would you like to add?
I'm thinking well, the Seven Mercies can't be added again, so I'm thinking
Right.
it's a threat, opportunity, or what else?
Threat, opportunity, or faction. And it can be something that's changed or something that's split off or something new, something that's been discovered.
I think since the Seven Mercies have a lesser hold on the land, that they've been holding back something from beyond the river.
Okay. And what is that?
I'm not sure if it's a threat per se. It's more like there are people on the other side of the river that are coming in now.
Okay, what do they like?
different. We're not sure yet, but they're different.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm going to at least make you put a symbol on the board, and we'll figure out what they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I put a symbol there.
All right. If you'd write the different on there, that'll how I'll remember them.
With lowercase or font rather.
I assume that you're going to stick with your character?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to jump forward to Christo. Christo, how are you?
Yes, I am well.
You're well. So we've seen that there's been warfare here from the hell swords, and we've seen that the Enclave burn has fallen back. We had this great pyrotechnic finish to your character at the end of the last time. So tell me about the two fortunes that your family turned up from that, or in the last 2 years.
Yes, let's see, what do they call it?
Oh, and by the way, I think, sorry, before you go, I think the surplus I'll get instead of weaponry is morale.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Go on. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, so my family through marriage and trade learned one strength of another family, which I'll take from the lawgivers, and I'll make it tooled up and looking for trouble.
Ooh. And how do you imagine that? What does that look like?
I think it just means that they've gotten better at weaponizing their body modifications.
Okay. And they have 2 treaty on you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what is the other awesome fortune that you're going to take?
A series of messy public disagreements caused many family members to leave the masquerade, but it was all according to your devious plan. From their new homes, your exiles send you regular reports on their host activities. Gain +1 sleight and surplus spies, but take need recruits.
Okay. Write that down. Surplus spies.
Actually, it's funny that that it changed, that my family's lifestyle changed because it's now dispersed. Your family are masters of destruction and can reliably sneak saboteurs and arsonists into any location. I wonder where they got that from.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was nothing we did.
So are there any changes you want to make to your doctrine, to your lifestyle, or to your traditions?
I've got a theme. I've got a theme going here. So
okay.
No longer are we nomadic, we're dispersed also. And your family is always aware when a secret is uncovered and may make an immediate move towards the faction or family who uncovered it.
Ooh. Interesting.
And tradition. We're now no longer degenerates hidden behind gorgeous finery, but now we are a carnival of freaks and oddities.
Wow. And so what happened? Was it that battle with the Deathless Legion, or was there some other event that caused this change?
It was that final battle when we went with the whole thriller thing with the what do we call them? Not the zombies, but the
Deathless.
The Deathless. And since they were all, didn't we decide that they were exaggerated and beautiful, so sort of grotesque in that way? That caused a change in how my family presents itself.
Interesting. Is there a new custom that you've developed? No?
No.
Okay. Okay, you get to add 1 new threat, opportunity, or faction to the map.
Threat, opportunity, or faction. Threat, opportunity, like we don't have enough threats already, right? You said, or an opportunity. So what can an opportunity be?
Like a cool thing that's on the map.
Cool thing that's on the map. Does it have to be on the map, or can it just be something we heard?
You can just have it as a rumor there if you want.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I was thinking, I don't have the map open. I was thinking it would be in the mountains where that nasty miasma is, and there's a rumor that there is a vault of great treasures up there. What kind of treasures would we want it to be? What would be something that people would be willing to risk their lives for? So we've got all this war around us, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
We've already got a family that heals, so let's say it's the rumor is that it's there's a lot of tech in there that will enable far speaking.
All right, I can work with that. And we're going to make a new character for you, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to let you do that, and when we'll come back and we'll ask your backstory questions after I get done with Sherry. Does that sound cool?
Sounds great.
Okay. Sherry, Jane Doe. Let's start with you. You also have 2 fortunes. Now, feel free to take a fortune taken by somebody else. There's no limit on that. What is the first of those?
I think that there's a windfall. And essentially, what it is that a portion of those rhino riders come and essentially broker a deal. They want to be does.
Okay.
And essentially, so we have more people who have sort of come into this with their own thing, plus their beasts and stuff. I think that sounds interesting, that we have these formerly nomadic people.
That sounds good. So you're a little bloated now, but you get 3 surpluses.
Right. So I will figure those out.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm not sure what kind of things I can choose from. Is it anything, or do I use the 5 that are kind of given as my starting ones to choose through?
There is actually a list of those.
Oh, good.
That when I will point you to those when we get set here. Actually, I'll point to you right now. If you go to the folder, let's see here, is it under reference sheets? No, it's not there. Give me just a minute, and I will get that for you as a PDF here. I just need to find the page. It's 32. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 36. Okay, file. Print just 1 second here. Working. Okay, that's. And I just misspelled surplus. That's an added bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm gonna upload this file. Let's see. So you should now see in the folder, Sherry, Legacy 2E v1.6 surplus, because I've misspelled it.
All right.
PDF that has all the surpluses in it.
Right. I will refresh the. Excuse me. I will go back out to that link that you gave me. Okay. I see it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You really did botch that spelling.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you, what do you want for your other fortune?
Other fortune is, see, I want something that reflects the thing that Jane brought back, some of the deathless of the Jane Doe. And essentially, we were able to use that and follow back. And instead of it being a physical vault, it was actually a sort of vault within the places that we have there. We found information that kind of helped us decode part of what was going on with the deathless.
Oh, okay.
Does that make any sense? And changed a set of, essentially changed kind of our outlook on that, but also changed how we do what we do.
Okay. So essentially found a hidden cache via these people. It's information about the deathless and how they operate and what the background is on that. And you're going to get 2 tech from the scavenging. But that will give you that need for trade.
Right. Yeah, and it turns out that part of that will be that we have to find ways to, how do you say, get the materials to do the things that we've learned how to do. So I think that makes sense.
Wait, I just noticed something.
Sure.
I think the burn are at -3 mood right now, from what it looks like. Is that correct?
I haven't adjusted the mood yet, but I've updated the needs and the surpluses.
Yeah, that's why
So I think I'm at -2.
-2.
No, you're right, -3.
Yeah, because you trigger a move if you get a -4. Just keep that in mind.
Oh, what's that do?
I think it's when your family goes into crisis.
Okay.
Which doesn't sound really good. Let me.
-1, -2.
Yeah,
well,
it's falling into crisis.
We'll come back to that. Yep. Okay. Yeah. We will check on that if that situation gets worse. You may be wanting to try and procure or take care of those needs. That may be a vital point for you. Sherry, do you think that there has been any kind of change to the doctrine, lifestyle, or tradition of your family?
That's a fine question. Let me find the sheet that has that. I think that, in fact, the doctrine has become more like the faith is mother, the faith is father. Again, we had that hive mind stuff, and I assume that there's a certain amount of that has been adapted.
So there's some syncretic change going on here.
Yep.
Okay. Tell me about a new custom, behavior, something that we've noticed about your family then. What's the change?
I think let's see here. I think that one of the things that is noticeable is that even though the Jane Does and the John Does all have that very similar appearance, they've all begun to do a sort of highly stylized, unique marking of themselves, though. So now they have tattoos or painted things that they wear, but the things aren't only unique, they're also hierarchical about who they're tied to.
Ooh.
And those things. So there's a whole sort of a kind of careful codification that goes along with that. So it's not just marks for beauty or for uniqueness, but also for a kind of what the relationship is to the other Janes and John Does.
Excellent. You get to add a new threat, opportunity, or faction to the map.
Right. So I think that it makes sense that the Morrowlands, they had that strange, like, where they're growing that bone or whatever. It
Yep.
makes sense that they begin to sort of, like at the outskirts, another pattern starts to come out of things that that are springing up. So maybe.
So can I put like a scribble of a kind of an aura around it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to call this area around it?
I think it makes sense that it's something that has like lots of succulents that grow up, and they have all different kinds of what we would think of as being, how do you say, animal type fluids in them. So it's got like, some of them have digestive fluid and some of them have blood or something like that. It's kind of gruesome in a way, but because they're dispatched from that actual process.
I'd actually would like to correct you.
Okay.
You just said it's kind of gruesome. I don't think it's kind of gruesome. I think it's gruesome.
All right. Well, remember, it's not a wound or a thing. It's something that's in a plant.
So we've got kind of a bone area, and now there is a whole nother sort of layer of biological. What do you want to call that?
I like the idea that all of it is kind of like things grow up in patterns around one another. So it's called the skein or the skein, however you say that. Like they're kind of like there's threads of those kinds of things growing around, and they always are attached to one another in some ways.
All right, go ahead and label that on the map.
Okay.
I assume you wish to keep your same character?
Would you know the difference if I changed it?
Fair enough. There we go.
Right.
That's the smart way to do that.
Let's put it this way. The one that you see now looks closer to how the original humans supposedly looked. So older.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and type that in. Christo, I'm going to come back to you now. Tell us about your new old character.
Exactly. I chose Elder. His name is Desmond the Spider.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I couldn't change his moves though. The picks wouldn't adjust. So
Yeah.
I chose I made his look though that he's. Oh, I think I actually got that updated in the sheet. So he is male, or he looks male. He's got a plastic surgery face. His skin's tight and smooth, but it doesn't look natural. Laughing eyes and a bent body that I think aligns well with the fact that he's called the Spider. And the moves I took were well, he's got loyal staff. That's a required one. And I took a bodyguard. And I took Tough Old Soul, which I think looks like a fun move, in that when anyone in your group, doesn't say family, but group, suffers harm, tell everyone about a time you faced a similar danger. The first person that acts on this tale's lesson experience has advantage on the roll.
Excellent.
So it gets me to be a fun old storytelling codger.
Okay, I'm fixing your move thing right now. If you give me
you.
just a second, I will get that fixed for you. I should change the data validation and then change the VLOOKUP. Check one thing with that. Characters, Elder goes to 6, and then I go characters, and the VLOOKUP is PB characters A1 to E6. A1 to B6. All right, that is fixed.
Excellent.
Okay.
And let's see, what else does he have to choose?
Backstory questions.
Yes, that's right.
Let me find
someone
those.
Sat in council. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Someone sat in council with me before, and I taught them wisdom. I'm thinking that might be Jane.
What do you think, Jane?
Does that work with you?
You muted?
I like wisdom. That sounds awesome.
And then, let's see, who else do we have? I think Malachi Byrne would make a good match for one of my followers.
Oh.
I'm a matchmaking spider.
And who is an appropriate match by your reckoning for Malachi Byrne? He's kind of a codger.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'll say it would be Vanessa. Vanessa Lighthand.
And what makes her a good match?
What would make her a good match? Why would I think that's a good match for him? From my side of it, it's that she's good at sussing out information from him on technology and science. For her, I don't know, Stephen. What do you think? Why would she be interested in Malachi? Or why would Malachi be interested in her? She's interested in tech.
He's interested in her because the Enclave needs to be able to trade with the other families, and the Fool's Mirror has spread out quite a bit, so they have hooks into all the other families that he thinks might be able to help the Enclave trade with them.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
So we've got sort of a mutual trade thing going on here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one is, I know how the Painless's parents died. I wonder if they would welcome that truth.
All right.
So what do you think that involves?
I think they were cowards. I think they not only ran, but they exposed the rest of their family to horrible defeat.
And is that something that's not known, or is it hidden by someone, or how is that covered?
I don't think it was known. I think it might have been that the masquerade ended up helping them out as they got away, afterwards to help them recover or whatnot.
Did they run off to join the circus then?
Well, actually, that works, except it had been that the children were coming to the masquerade.
Right.
But sure, so why not? So maybe that's part of it. Maybe Painless's parents ran off to join the circus. But they died,
Excellent.
remember? So that's the thing. They died. So did they die in the circus, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What do you want for your roll move?
Oh, I want to be leader. I want to take over control of my family. They'll bring concerns to you before opposing you. Come into my web.
So there has been a move from a more sort of decentralized work to the family to you having kind of consolidated control.
Right, but we're dispersed. So it's a matter of having agents and networks. So that might be also why I'm called the spider, because I manipulate all those people over distance.
He is our hero. Awesome. So that sounds great to me. We've got that set. We've got that turning of that age. When we come back, I want to narrate a little bit about the map, about a couple of changes. I want to put some threats and things on the table, and then we're going to, at the family level, start and go through and talk with everybody. We're going to play out until we need to zoom in on something. We're going to work at that larger scale. So let's take that 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. Does that sound cool with everybody?
So I'd also like to discuss whenever we come back,
Sure.
needs and surpluses. So I've been looking around a little bit trying to figure out how some of that works.
Uh-huh.
And I can only find a couple of moves that let you adjust your surpluses and needs. So whenever we get back, we can talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely looks like that's something where you need to get debts and get those cleared. And we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay.
So you mentioned that you were getting ready for Gauntlet Con, lol.
Mhm.
I've got RPGs coming up for CheapCon here in 2 weeks, I think. And I just sat down today while I was in a meeting and, made some notes about, what I'm going to run and, what I'm going to do with it. So, yeah, it is kind of nerve-wracking. And you said 4 sessions of Worldwide Wrestling?
Yeah, which is pretty easy. The Worldwide Wrestling it's not that much in terms of prep, but once you start running it, like from the first minute, it is like desperately trying to keep a car on the road that's rolling down a hill and doesn't really have brakes. And you're trying to get it so you can park it at the end. That every goddamn session I've run of that game is great, and yet it is me white knuckling it the whole time.
Very cool.
Yeah. When and
question, if I may. So when you get a new character and it says add 1 to your family stats, does that mean that each time you change characters, you're going to be adding a new 1 to your family stats?
No,
I don't think so. I think that's just initial character creation. That's a really good question.
Oh.
Though.
Okay.
And something worth noting there.
Okay. I'll put it in the question tab.
Yeah, especially because he and I think maybe we had kind of talked about that in passing last time. Yeah, because the way that the playbook is presented, there may be some discussion of that in the rules for changing characters.
Oh, and I have a question. It's related to. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm having internet problems, I think. But if I can get the question ahead, it's about wonders. Yes, because I am reaching the point where I can spend a bunch for Total War.
Okay.
So,
I'd rather not do that this session, but
yeah, not this session. I need
yeah.
like 2 more things.
Sure. Yeah. We'll take a look at that and make sure that we have that as a thing that we can talk about with the whole group for next time. I'd certainly picture that as something for a longer term rather than a short run, but I'll take a look at that.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Now, Stephen, you had asked about the surpluses and the needs, right? You're muted.
There we go. Thank you. Yes, you're exactly right. What I found whenever I was looking through things was we saw Maria do something with her fortune, I think, that let her remove needs.
Right.
I also found whenever you have story moves zooming out, you can choose to add a surplus or remove a need whenever you scout for information. And the other thing I found was a family move to call in a debt, and you spend treaty and can take a surplus from another family.
Yeah. So I'll talk about the context of that. So one of the things is that zooming out also means time lapse. Essentially, if we lapse in time, and let's say we've been zoomed in on Chris's character, and he's done some individual stuff, and we zoom out and we move forward in time, each of you would get a chance to pick from that zooming out list, those of you who weren't sort of central to that. Each player whose main character wasn't involved gets to pick one. And so that's definitely one way that you can affect that. Obviously, the call in a debt is another way. But the other thing is, if you were to say to me, my family, we're doing this, and we need to be hunting for an answer to this. We need to be getting a surplus, or we need to be figuring out a way to answer that need. That's a sort of a goal in fiction that you can set, where the positive result of a particular check, would be to gain a surplus. So it is a thing that you can set as a goal for a move.
When you say a goal for a move, you'd say, just in fiction, I need to find more.
I come to you and I
weapons.
say, what is your family doing? And you say, well, my family needs to be, as you say, uncovering new weapons. Okay, well, how would you go about doing that? We'd walk through that, and eventually we'd get to a move, and that would be a possible positive result. Of course, it's a risky thing.
Right, because there's a roll involved, but yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how I picture that happening, and certainly I think that's the way the book is approaching that.
Good. Okay, thanks.
Okay. So let me set up a few things. This is sort of my GM-edness on here. So we have the Deathless Legion. They have not been destroyed as a threat, but they're a different kind of thing now. They have been forced by the destruction of some of their supplies to hold position. And what's happened over the last several years is, rather than moving on to conquer, rather than moving back to where they were pushed out of, they have settled into that western area. They're probably still hostile. They're still probably a threat, but they're a different kind of a threat. They're a threat that has established stakes here. Rather than doing that locust swarm move on, they're a dangerous faction at the western lands. So that's one of the things that has happened. The other thing that has occurred is that there's been a change to the blissless. And you may recall that this is the malaise that has affected and gone out. The blissless, that whole thing, has begun to spread, and sort of indirectly, I mean, it pops up from place to place, and it's taken on a new form. And essentially what has happened with the blissless is they're not hungry. They seem otherwise normal, content, emotional, but they don't want to eat. And they really can't be forced to eat unless you do sort of an invasive medical thing. And they can't explain why. They can't explain why they're not hungry. They can't explain that. They understand that something's going on, but they don't kind of react like it's a horrible thing to them. And this has become a problem, because then you get people that have to be taken care of or have to be, removed. And it's unclear whether this is a contagious thing or just a random thing. It's unclear, but this has begun to happen sort of across the map. The other thing is that the Thunder, for about the last year, has been very quiet. They have raided infrequently, and in fact have not been seen for the last 6 months, which makes people nervous, unsure what's going on with them. There are rumors, there are fears, but it's unclear. Any questions about that? So let's come to Jane Doe, and we've got our family there of the Doe. What do you picture as the Doe's main goal, main drive thing that they are doing now? They've got those threats that are kind of pressing on them. There's some pressures from outside forces. What is the thing that's sort of at the height of their awareness now?
I think because they've kind of got, they've always been a group that had people, that brought people to them, and now they've got even more of them. And and people who have skill sets that they're not accustomed to integrating into their things. So actually, I think the thing that's most pressing on them is trying to find purpose for people. So it's that they are moving people out to like say, well, why don't you see if you can, develop some trade lines? Why don't you scout this situation? So in fact, for other people in the lands, they're seeing a lot more of the does and a lot more of them on the rhinos, if that makes any sense. So it's that they seem to most people, I think, more present, but it really is them trying to find a place for everyone.
Okay.
Because that's become even more important with the hierarchy.
And what's the role of Jane Doe sort of in that leadership right now?
I think because she's one of the people who travel to more than one place, that's sort of, she's been sort of pushed forward that this is going to be her responsibility, is to facilitate finding more roles for the different does that further their agenda, but essentially allow them to remain safe and alive.
Okay. It kind of sounds to me like the way that we could read this as a move is with the conduct diplomacy move.
Sure. That
kind of represents the does. Would see some scenes of the does arriving. Again, one of the things that the does are encountering in lots of these places is people wanting to have you cure the blissless, which is not something you've been able to cure. You can make a person a doe, but they're still not hungry. Let's have you go ahead and roll with reach.
Okay, I'm going to give that a try. As soon as I find the rolling page among my 5,000 tabs, I'll just start a new one.
Okay. And don't forget to take a look at your moves and see if there's anything there you want to. If I suggest something and you go, oh no, it's actually one of my family moves I've got, feel free to say that to me.
See, and I wasn't even thinking of that. I'm telling you move. I was just describing what we were doing.
I know, so and I'm translating it into the system.
Okay, and it says, oh, I get to roll reach. Okay, well, that's going to be awesome for all of us.
You have a 1 reach, don't you?
I don't know. I got to look it up. That's why I meant awesome.
Oh, that cat.
Yes, I do. I'm so sorry about this cat. She's inconsolable. All right, I am re-rolling. So that gives me a 9 with my reach.
That gives you a 9 with your reach. So you can, it's a hit. So what you're going to get is you're going to get a pick off that list, and we can be pretty open about that. And then you're going to talk about who kind of helped you do that, and they're going to get a treaty on you.
Okay, I think that one of the things is that Jane starts out by going out to sort of meet with people that she knew. So probably one of the first people she reaches out to is Byrne.
Okay.
Because they're not that far. And, in the same way that they're just sort of coming out and looking for trade, so are we. And while we don't have exactly what the other ones need, we both have those interests. So it makes sense for us to.
Does that seem good to you, Byrne?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so what you'll get is you'll get an additional treaty on Doe. And if you look at the conduct diplomacy move, what do you think is it you want to get from this?
I don't know, because it sounds like I mean when I put it out there, it was one of those things of working on the surplus stuff, right? It was kind of how but it's not like I'm trying to do it mechanically.
Well, what is it kind of so you're looking for placements?
Yeah.
In a sense to help you deal with
yeah, I think like what we might call it is that we've got an outpost with the burn where our people go to, and that's where they stay while they work negotiations, and it's where they come from when they have goods from the burn.
So let's say this then. It says you can establish access to or information on opportunity. So what's a thing that you find that you could then work to put your people into?
Let's see here. That I find that I can put them into. You mean like
either a physical thing or a role, or what kind of structure do you begin to set up that we can then play on for you to build up?
Okay. I think that what it turns out is that we're actually really good go-betweens. So essentially, because we actually do have that extensive ability to travel with heavy loads and things like that, that essentially we start a caravan.
Okay.
And I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah. So let's say that one of the things being that the merchants have traditionally been the people that carry the things from place to place, but because of this outpouring, this strangeness with the blissless, people have become more suspicious of them. But you're healers, and so people are perhaps more ready to accept you into those places. And let's say that you've set the groundwork up for that. Does that seem cool?
Okay. So, and of course we would be essentially making, essentially would be caravans, but would be caravanners for burn stuff as well. So.
Okay. So I would say that this is kind of a setup that probably what's going to happen is we get those basics established, and then we've got those ties with burn, and we'll say that you're going to get advantage forward to say do more diplomacy to kind of finish this out. Does that seem like a good way to read that?
That sounds lovely, Lowell. Thank you.
Okay. Christo, let's talk about the Fool's Mirror. They have changed.
Mm-hmm.
They have definitively changed, but the circumstances have also changed. There are more militant factions out there. Certainly the Hell Swords are in it against the lawgivers. We don't know what's going on with the Thunder. And of course, we have the Deathless. They are still there. There is a whole pincer of these factions and forces at work. What do you think you are trying to achieve with your family right now? You're the leader.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you want the family to be doing?
I want them to be gathering information.
Okay.
That's what the spider does, right? I'm sending them out together. I've got the urchins, my little spiderlings, and they're going out and getting whatever they can.
Just describe to me how they're trained. What is it? What is the scene we see of the training of these spies, these dancer spies now?
Yeah, that's right. They're spies. So those are different than the urchins I had previously.
Yeah.
So
they've grown up a little.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I could still have the urchins, right? There's nothing that says the urchins went away. So, but now I have spies. I would say that they used body modifications to blend in better with wherever they're going, of course. You know, it's a natural disguise for them. And so that's part of how they become spies.
I picture you having these masks that can get pulled away, Mission Impossible style, perhaps a bag of faces.
Sure, and maybe they have multiple masks, right? So they take off one and then they take off the other.
Right.
Because maybe that's part of their big game, is using some sort of polymer to generate faces, and so they've got the tech to copy faces. So maybe they duplicate people. Actually, maybe that's the way they spy. Maybe they're doppelgangers.
Ooh, interesting.
That could be interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Well, let's see what comes out of that. This seems to me like you're rolling sleight. This is a subterfuge move, right?
Is it, or is this an infiltration move?
Ooh, do you have a special move for that?
Oh, I think I have a couple actually. But
well, let's go to that and let's take a look at what's that there. Midnight Carnival.
No, it's not that one. I was looking. Where was it? I thought it was just one of the basic moves, isn't it? Oh, I guess it's subterfuge.
Oh, yeah. Subterfuge. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
We're on the same page.
So when your family. Yes. Sorry. When your family infiltrates other factions, roll plus sleight. And my sleight is 1.
Okay. So let's see it.
That's a 9.
Ooh. 9 total?
9 total. I rolled
okay.
2 4s.
All right. So you get to choose a thing that your agents achieve, but then you need to tell me who you get this from, and we'll talk about a clue that you leave behind. I'll also point out that you can always spend tech to give your roll advantage.
Oh, is that how that happens? Okay.
Yes.
What are the odds of me getting a better roll? I guess it's about 50-50 actually.
So one of the things I'm looking through is I made a mistake. My tech, I think, is at 5.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking of tech as a resource that you spend, like you just described.
Yep.
Because that's what it says. However, it's also a stat. So it can't go above 2 or 3.
Where did you see that?
I thought, so I've been looking around. I thought I saw something about no stat can go above 2 or 3.
I think data and tech are the exceptions. I think I could be wrong about that, because
I'm pretty sure that those are outside of that sphere, even though they're kind of presented as stats on the thing. They're a resource spend.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It was a good catch. Good question.
Yeah, and it's also because in previous versions had some families start with 5 tech. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Christo.
Okay. I want to do. They hide their involvement in an action, and I may frame someone else in their place if I wish.
Okay. So
who do you say that was? Who was at war?
Well, right now,
it has to be
it can be anybody. You can do this to anybody you want. But right now, the most active conflict out there is between the lawgivers and the Hell Swords.
And I will point out that the Hell Swords are trying to get more territory. They've been getting more.
Yeah, the Hell Swords are very clearly looking to conquer everyone.
Yeah,
they make no bones about that.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll have had my spies infiltrate the Hell Swords, because their body mods, our body mods, that's easy for us to deal with. So we'll have infiltrated and make it look like, who would I want to frame? So in the other, we don't know where the Thunders are.
Right.
So I think we'll make it look like the Does did it.
So, and what happened? What was the result? Did they find spies, or what was the action that occurred there in the fiction?
Well, we dressed up like John and Jane Doe. Cloned them, as in made ourselves look like them, and I had them go in, and I would think that we would have poisoned the water.
Okay.
in one of their base.
So there was definitely an attack, and the evidence that the Hellswords have points to the does being behind it.
With the goal of getting the does to join with other factions against the Hellswords.
That makes sense to me. On a 7 to 9, I get to name a family or a faction that sees through that deception.
Ooh.
So, Stephen, how is it that the Byrne family find out about this maneuver that the spider has done, this action against the Hellswords?
So I think actually during the poisoning that's going on, their little, what do you want to call them? They're little creatures that go out and search for stuff. Some of them came back and reported this poison. So during the night, during the cover of night, they went out and they saw suspicious movement that I think was the spider infiltrating the Hellswords in the way that they do.
So you are aware. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. You are aware of this maneuver, but you know how the plot has been set up right now. So let's come to the Hellswords, and let's talk with Painless. So Painless, you have military forces hovering in the wings. You have grand ambitions. You also have this disease that is starting to sweep through, and it looks like the Doe have made a move against you. So what do you want to do?
I am going to retaliate.
Okay. And so what does retaliation look like?
Well, I think what I'm going to do is whenever I see whenever there's a settlement, like with the Doe around, I will just make examples out of them.
All right.
And the family does that as well.
Okay. So you essentially just want to kind of push them out by making examples of them. Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So let's have you roll with grasp.
Do you want me to roll specifically claim by force, or do you want me to roll dominion?
Let me look at dominion.
They're both grasp, but
yeah. Well, is that thing is it more that you want to send this message, or is it that you are choosing a particular settlement that the Doe have influence over and are taking it over?
I want to take over, basically. That my focus is taking over the settlement more than.
Okay, sure. What's the name of the settlement?
What's it called? Let me look at the land again. And the Doe are usually around.
They're spread all over the place. So, right. and we'll drop a village name in somewhere. What do you want to call it?
Arrowhead.
Okay, that sounds good.
Because it's the first thing that came to my mind.
Absolutely.
And I will bring some big guns that were modified with the ancient tech that we scavenged. So I want to spend that one tech to gain advantage of that roll.
Okay. So absolutely. Let's have you roll that and roll with Dominion.
Grasp.
Sorry, grasp. Well, with Dominion, the move.
Yeah. Submit. And that was that one?
That was 3 1s.
Oh my god. That was terrible. All right.
Wow, what are the odds of that?
I know, right? That was a freaking terrible.
It's just that the faith is with us.
So what's your total there?
5, I guess.
Okay.
I'm going to remove these because I don't want to see them anymore. So what happens?
So you go to move on them. You've been told about this this settlement. You go to move in to attack, and when you do, someone has spilled the beans, and the lawgivers are there in force. Unexpectedly, I mean, you expected the Doe are not a military faction. You went in heavy, but you didn't expect the mobility and tech of the lawgivers. And they swept in and intercepted and drove you back. And you can choose one of the two surpluses to lose, either weaponry or morale.
Are we gonna narrate the battle? Because we do have a move related to combat.
Well, this is the
Yeah.
Dominion move. So we're going to play this. This is essentially the effect. So I don't think there's a separate battle move for this.
I mean, it's a battle move that I have. Basically, it's called Always Outnumbered, Never Outgunned.
Mm-hmm.
And I can and it's basically spending arsenal for different effects in combat. So
okay,
let's lose morale.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna do one of those, and I'm just going to spend arsenal to, I guess, dismay and overwhelm my foes. So even though morale is bad or lost, I still pretty much win that battle. If that's okay.
No, because I think that turns that swaps the result of the hard move there.
Okay, never mind then.
Okay, I'm just talking about the scale of the thing, because we're kind of at that sort of zoomed out scale. It's cool if you want to narrate how you keep your troops together. That, I mean, to play off of that fiction, that seems reasonable to me on that.
So basically, spend one arsenal to keep the surplus. Or what? What do you want me to do?
No, I don't. I'm. Here's the thing: is we're not kind of zoomed down to that character level for that move.
It's a family move.
Okay,
that's my point. It is a family move.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that on the family move thing there for you. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
I'm not sure how that move is supposed to play out, honestly.
Well,
because
okay. So one of the things we did is we went to the Dominion move, and we went to you taking over the settlement.
Yes,
building off of the fiction of that,
okay.
versus the whole let's do a big battle here thing.
Right.
And so it's about kind of choosing where we land that narration at that level.
Okay.
So let me tell you what we can do with that.
Mm-hmm.
When we come back around to you, you want to kick the ass of the lawgivers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be the next step for you, is to come back and pin them down and crush them under your boot heel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll go to that always outnumbered, never outgunned, and we'll talk about that, and we'll do that whole battle sequence. Is that cool?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, we'll come back to that. Right now, there's been a turn in your fortunes, and now when we come back to you, you're going to smash the fools who would overcome you, and you're not going to roll 2 1s.
Hopefully, or 3 1s rather.
Or 3 1s. I'm going to come over to Stephen, and we're going to keep swapping around. So Stephen, your family's kind of in a bad place, right? You've got some good stuff, but ooh, you are right on that, teetering on that edge.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
So what do you want to do?
Oh yeah. So I think what I want to do is I want to try and set up. I guess I kind of want to reintroduce the family back into the land where I've been gone for a couple of years doing research. And I think the way that I'm going to do that is we talked about how the does were kind of setting up communication lines. And I'd like to take advantage of those as trade routes.
Okay.
And set up distinct trade routes between the different families and factions in the land. The benefit that specifically what I imagine is using the tech that I found to do things like, so I think that some of the hell swords were poisoned.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can bioengineer a cure or something to help with that poison, something to maybe cleanse it or deal with it a little bit better.
Okay.
And therefore, I'd like to trade that. Or I can get from, well, yeah, I think that's good.
So you got two choices on how you can approach this. You can kind of play hardball, which means you go and you call in a debt, means you spend your treaty to get something from a specific family. Or we can sort of do what we did with the does, and essentially we're playing this out as you doing that conducting diplomacy and talking to people, and you can always boost that with tech if you want.
I think I'm more along the lines of, so I'm not trying to strong arm anyone into helping. I think I'm more trying to set up, excuse me, peaceful treaties and trade routes, just trying to set that up. Let me see if... yeah, that probably sounds fine.
Okay, so why don't you roll reach?
Yeah.
Do you want to spend tech to give yourself advantage on the roll?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason for that, the fiction for that, is that I'm using the tech to, of course, modify the things that I'm trading.
Oh yeah, you getting that stuff set. You're using that tech that you've built up to do that.
I got a 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a 9 means that you can get that access. You can get that in place. You're starting to build those chains of communications across the various different families. What do we see when your envoys go out to talk to these different families? What's the major thing that they're seeing? How are you approaching them? Quiet, or are you flying in on bugs, or is there a caravan?
I think there's a caravan. I think that it goes along. I think the Doe mentioned that they had a caravan. Is that right? Yeah. And I think that this is the two of us are coming in together. And I think that the Doe are kind of having to escort the Enclave a little bit because of their nocturnal tendencies. So they're going to be more at risk at night. And they're also, because they have those giant beasts that are after them.
Okay.
I think I want to see this. I want to see how this plays out. So I think I'm going to call in a debt on the Hell Swords during our trade to get a +2 on that move. Oh, does that have to be done before?
It should be a move you were directly targeting them. I don't know if it has to be done before.
Okay.
But essentially, you want their aid in making sure that the trade goes off, right?
Well, in this case, it was going to be maybe because of the treaty that we've had in the past, because of the relationship we've had in the past, they're more amenable to this trade.
Okay. So you would spend a treaty, and then the question would be, Maria, are the Hell Swords inclined to aid them or not?
So remind me again, what are we looking at?
This is setting up permanent trade routes between the different factions and families, and specifically the Enclave is trying to trade with you poison or cures for poison. I think your people have been poisoned somewhat, and the Enclave seems to know about this and seems to be providing something that helps with it.
And what
He
would be the
essentially
cost?
wants the cost to you is nothing. It's in the fiction whether your family wants to be supporting these people that are trying to stabilize and strengthen people across the land, or whether that's not something you want, whether you want the people weak.
I think the ultimate goal isn't necessarily to. I think I want some sort of control as well. Like, like it's okay if they're strong, because that means they will be less in. Like, the problem is with that. I think the Hell Source C is that there's. I'm not sure if there's. It just needs a strong leadership. If there is strong leadership, then everything's fine. But there isn't, so I'm gonna help.
Okay. So then that will certainly push you over and kind of get that set up. We'll follow through on that as we did with Sherry's move to make that more concrete when we come back around to you. Does that sound cool?
That sounds fine. Mechanically, what I'm looking for is to try to eliminate the need for trade.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
okay.
That's what I was picturing you doing. So
Fantastic.
we'll come back around. We'll play that out and see if that follows through. And the Hellswords have agreed. So you spent one treaty, and they didn't fight you off on that. Let's swing back around to the doe. Some time has passed. We know that the Burn are out in the world like they weren't before. They've contacted you. You've been building up these caravans, but you also know that the Hellswords attacked one of your settlements. They attacked Arrowhead, and it's only by the intervention of the lawgivers that your settlement wasn't destroyed.
And that is a little confusing, since certainly we've had good treaty with them before. So that's a little troubling. I suppose that the thing to do is, because I've traveled with Painless and she's the leader, is that I need to go and see why she's doing that.
Okay. So that's conducting diplomacy.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. So that's what I will do. I will attempt that.
All
now,
right.
I've been rolling okay. So this is the time for my double ones, I think. So hopefully this will go well.
Roll with reach.
That's an 11.
Okay.
All right. Double ones in another way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And you get one data for that.
Oh, awesome. All right.
So there is, we would cut to a scene of a meeting at what kind of neutral ground do you think this would be at?
Oh, I think it'd be the Seed Sea.
Okay. And Painless, this channels have gone through. The Doe have clearly they realize the superiority of your position, and so this has been arranged, and so we'll kind of zoom down. It's not really the zoom in, but it's kind of let's look at the scene of you two talking. What do you think that looks like, you two?
I will be confused as to why, and I'll mention the poison well or poison water supplies.
And I mean, it's very clear that Jane is confused, and she's like, in what world would you think that we would attempt to make others ill?
We saw some does go in and poison the well. I'm not sure what the motivation is, or if it's a rogue faction.
No, there is no such faction. She says it with utter certainty. And she sort of stops and says, now, there are always does that haven't joined us yet?
I think these were actual does. I'm not sure how.
So they came to poison your well and you saw them. That seems dim beyond belief. Could that have been staged?
It's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Well, then we need to find out who did this.
Yes.
But it was not us. And she looks at you.
Yes, I believe you. We've fought together many times, so I completely believe you.
I appreciate that. Will you show me the well that they used?
Absolutely.
Oh.
And yeah.
And that seems like the data that you've gotten is the kind of information on what actually happened.
Right.
That's fair.
Okay. So does that seem like a good scene, Sherry?
Yes, that works for me.
Okay. Let's come back to the spider. Christo.
Yes.
So certainly you managed to get the lawgivers and to give the Hell Swords something of a beating.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
I'm looking at family moves. We're at the family level, correct?
Yep.
Let's see. I do need to try and get rid of one of my needs. What is it we do to do that?
So what I've been doing is kind of talking about setting up to gain things. Like both Sherry and Steve both kind of did a setup move that they're going to kind of close the deal to do that, to kind of figure out what they need to do and then do something to do that. What need do you have that you want to get rid of?
Or I guess I could get a surplus depending on how it goes, because you can call on a debt to gain a surplus, correct?
Take a surplus from someone, yes.
Right. Okay.
They can then spend to deny that.
Sure.
Of course, if they don't have treaty on you, then they sort of have to agree.
Right.
Or hold together.
I think doesn't everybody have treaty on everybody by now? That's why it's time to start spending it, right? I'm trying to see. I'm scrolling by the surpluses. I'm not seeing who has what. Backstory, gear and notes.
Surpluses are under history of the on the family sheet. It's just
I'm in the wrong sheet. That's it. Duh.
there is a little bit of that problem with the multiple playbooks. May remember this from Pig Smoke.
Yeah, this takes it to a new level, though.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I know what I want. From the does, I'd really like the artisans, because that would cancel out one of my needs. If you can do it that way.
Yeah.
Does it make sense that I could have a surplus and a need, does it? Or
yeah.
I guess you could have a surplus and still need more, but
so what you
do I have a treaty on them?
You have 2 treaty on them.
Yeah, I think I have.
But they also have 2 treaty on or whether
I thought I think I have 1 treaty on the burn.
No, they're the dough.
No, the dough. You have 2 on.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I have 1 on.
Yes, I have 2 on the dough. So then that means that I can call in a debt.
Okay.
that we've really been losing our status. We just don't have enough to perform the way we used to. And if we don't perform, we will die out. We won't be able to help you in your rituals. And you can't see me, I'm gesturing with my hands all dramatically, of course. You know, sort of a ballet hand sort of thing with the arms going up and yeah, no, that's
I'm picturing David Bowie from Labyrinth kind of thing.
Sure, Labyrinth would be perfect. And actually, I think the whole Labyrinth image fits the Masquerade at this time phase. So
yeah, and I see Joe just saying, you know, back in the day, Lee was never one who was lacking in those skills. But sure, I can lend you our artisans for a season.
So you're going to remove artisans as a surplus, Sherry.
Okay.
And you will remove artisans as a need, Fool's Mirror. What does that look like? What kind of artisans are you handing over?
Actually, probably our trying to think, probably our tattooists, huh?
Okay.
That works.
That's awesome. All right. Does that seem like a fair for your move there?
Yes.
Chris? Okay.
But he has to spend that treaty, right?
Yes.
So that we're 1 for 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Painless. The time for vengeance is now.
All right.
Tell me what that looks like. What is going on?
All right. I will invade the mesa again.
Okay.
Or actually invade the mesa this time. I want to crush the 7 mercies like right now.
Okay.
And I will spend the 1 arsenal to dismay and overwhelm my foes. With
all right.
So yeah.
So here is a question. Go on. So it looks like now I wonder if we have to do the claim by force move with that, or do you think that we just spend the arsenal and do that fiction? What do you think?
I mean, it's not really a research. It would be Dominion again, I think.
Okay.
And I kind of want to roll for the sake of rolling things and seeing what the result is. And yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Well, so we start with you dismaying that you spend the arsenal, and what is it that happens? Describe to me what is dismaying to these populated settlements of these people who, you know, there are the lawgivers here, and these are the people that live under their you know, their peace with sheriffs and things like that. How do you destroy their homes and communities?
Just it's structured. It is by brute force because of our huge weaponry or huge amounts.
So what does huge weaponry do? What does it look like?
It's as we established bio weapons. Well,
okay.
Bio as in they're living, and
okay.
they just raise everything to the ground.
So they just like are they like a big like snail steamrollers, or are they tank?
That sounds awesome.
Okay, snail steamrollers go rolling through, crushing buildings and people beneath them, shattering this settlement. This comes out of nowhere. Certainly the lawgivers had no warning that this was coming. That's part of what your arsenal does. Now let's go ahead and have you roll with grasp.
Again, do I get advantage?
Do you get advantage? No, you actually get disadvantage against them.
Well, that's on reach. I think. That's if I... take disadvantage of all reach moves against them until they've been dealt
All
with.
reach moves. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. So go ahead and roll with grasp then.
And I will also spend 1 tech for the actual advantage in that case.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. Hopefully this is not another 3 ones because I will. Oh,
no,
nice.
That's much better.
That is much better. Yes.
Okay. So you get to pick 2.
All right. Let me look at Dominion. Since I think that's the move we were using, right? Yes.
Yep.
I think I want the 2 tech.
Okay.
So they uneasily send tribute, and I want to terrify their neighbors. So
Okay.
my
so put a treaty on essentially lawgiver settlements. Essentially the people that they have under their authority, the people that like your villages, it's the equivalent of that. Does that seem good?
Yeah. And since the intent was crushing the lawgivers completely, what would I have to do that?
What would you have to do that? I think let's see. I think that would be another move. We were talking about just doing a move on that. If you want to move to crush them fully, now that you kind of got this foothold,
Yes.
that seems to me like you've created that wedge, and we would do a claim by force for the next one.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Do you want me to roll now or later?
No, we'll come back around to you, and I'll have you describe to me your campaign on that. Does that sound good?
Cool.
Okay. Burn. The Burn family. There's fighting going on, but you kind of have moved to get this set to provide the tech and do these things. This seems to me like we've got a couple ways that we can do this. We can talk about you sort of continuing to do this via diplomatic channels, or we can talk about you, putting in the effort to do this.
So I think what this is going to be is I think the Byrne family, the Enclave, is going to continue to stretch out their reach through these routes, these trade routes.
Okay.
And I think that they're going to make contact with Spider, the leader of the Fool's Mirror. And they're going to go to them. They've been spending a lot of time with the Doe as they go back and forth. And they're going to go to Spider and tell them that they know that it was not the Doe that poisoned the Hell Swords, but it was the Fool's Mirror instead.
Okay.
And
so
they would.
So
and they,
this
they
seems
would
to me like
to,
you actually we were conducting diplomacy here. Then you want to get a meeting of the top people to do this discussion, right?
Actually, I want them to back up this trade route.
Okay.
And I could do that by spending treaty with them.
Sure. So you're spending treaty and you're making a threat.
I wouldn't say it's a threat.
It's a promise.
I think it's more along the lines of an opportunity.
Okay.
I think that the Enclave recognizes that the Fool's Mirror is operating differently than they had before. They're operating in a secretive manner, and I think that it might be a good time, rather than letting the truth come out that it was them and not the Doe, if it instead looks like maybe it was the who was it, the lawgivers appeared to be that way, because they might be on the outs anyway. I think you have an opportunity there, Spider.
What do you think?
So you're spending a treaty to get me. That's what this is.
I'm spending a treaty to get you to support these trade routes and respect them. Mechanically, you can refuse to do that by also spending a treaty on me.
No, I think we're very interested in having established trades routes and lines of communication. I do like this idea. And the Longovers have been a pain in the past, and I wouldn't put it past them to have poisoned the wells. Although it was very clever of them, wasn't it?
I think it might have been clever of them, and it's unfortunate that they are in such a bad situation now.
It really is. They could have been so useful. So shall we shake on it?
I think our word is good enough. And I think the Enclave will leave behind the drones or the little, creatures that recognize the poison.
Do you think this is something we need to roll for, or do you think that we can establish that you've taken care of that need problem? Chris, are you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, were you talking? But he was spinning a treaty for it, right? So that was to solve that, to get my backing him up and with.
Yeah.
Okay. Or
He's
were you talking about the
treaty. You've agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, Stephen, that we would need to roll for that? What's your sense on that?
I have the feeling that spending a couple of treaty to get rid of the need seems right. And I don't think a roll is necessary.
Okay. You've also got some of your other moves that support that. So yeah. So which need is it that you're clearing up?
I think trade.
Trade. Okay. So you've got that trade network established. You've taken some time, taken some actions to do that. Yeah. You've put that into place. Some time has passed.
Well,
yes, Chris?
I was going to say, no, never mind. I was looking at barter goods and I was wondering if increasing the trade is going to reduce my barter goods, but that's not trade. That's a different one.
No, a different one.
Okay.
Time has passed, and there are rumors, more dark rumors on the southern border of larger and larger packs of the Thunder gathering. Some people have headed down there to look into the situation, but they've not returned. The other thing is that the blissless malaise grows heavier day by day. Where it once was an infrequent thing, they're now having to set up houses in different settlements to house the people who are affected by this. I mean, they're fine for a while. They can work for a while, but eventually the lack of eating, the hunger means that they can't go on. And they will literally starve themselves to death. And that's the situation we come into here as we probably hit. What season is it now, Sherry?
Muted.
Muted.
I think when you're talking about something like the blissless, it sort of has to be summer, doesn't it? It has to be hot and.
Yeah. What is the climate like? What do you measure the temperature zone here?
I think of it very much as being sort of microclimes everywhere. In some ways, it is everything is a little strange and driven by forces. I mean, the mountains aren't just mountains; they're artificial mountains that have their own weather that they generate. And the forest, the Morrowlands, is a similar thing. It has a sort of humidity to it, especially now that the sky is there, that, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's clearly pulling stuff up from below. And yeah, so you get all kinds of odd things. There's some sort of patterns in the summer the winds come in the morning and the evening, but not during the day as much.
Okay.
So you have a sort of, it tends to be during the hot part of the day, it's stultifying.
Awesome. So we're in the summer. What is it that the stultifying hot? Some places humid, some places dry. It hangs over this place. It's almost kind of a valley, in some ways. What is it that the does are now setting their mind to?
Shoot.
Do you want to finish in work to eliminate that need or gain that surplus?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I want to do is because Spider has done the treaty trick that make the demonstration. Essentially, they were set as being corrupt previously. If I absolve them, I get 1 treaty on them. That puts me 1 up on the treaty.
Okay.
At which point, I think that I can negotiate that other treaty point to consolidate the trade with the dough as well.
So essentially, you come back, you spend your treaty that you just gained for absolving them, and you ask them to back you on that play.
Yep.
What do you think of that, Spider?
So backing which play?
They want your assistance in confirming this trade network that they've built.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to cost you anything, but they want your commitment to that. They're spending a treaty to make you do that.
So this is continuing. This is expanding on the Burns network also, or is it a different one?
This is a different one. They're more communication service.
Sure. That's as long as I can have my part in it. The Spider is always happy to help the does. Right? We've gotten along so well. You've been so helpful in the past. We'll definitely do it as long as you give us also the advantage of free movement and communication with these trade routes.
Sure.
That seems reasonable. So Sherry, you're eliminating idle as a need?
Trade is a need.
Trade is a need. Okay.
Idle has still got plenty to do.
I love the way everybody refers to Desmond as the Spider. That was his nickname, and he's just the Spider now. That's it.
Yeah. I assume that's how everybody knows you.
Exactly.
You're like the Hound. All right.
Yeah,
so
he feels like his kingdom is just whatever's left of it since he's dispersed. It's just at the center of the web.
Speaking of the center of the web now, Spider, the situation's getting kind of tough, but you've still got things to do. You can put your work on your plots and plans there, Spider. You don't have to worry about any of these threats. What are you going to do?
Let's see. What am we going to do? I've got so many treaties on the Hellswars. I sort of want to use that for something. Can I use that for? Let's see.
Take a surplus from them, get them to back you up, gain +2 on a move that targets them.
Plus on a move that targets them.
Yes.
But how do we define that move in something like this?
Well, let's say that you wanted to conduct diplomacy against them. You wanted to access to a location or thing they control, like their weaponry or something. Or let's say you wanted to cause a scandal or sabotage an asset. Could do that and spend the treaty to give yourself +2 on either of those. Or if you wanted to attack them.
Oh, no, the Spider doesn't attack.
Fair enough.
that just wouldn't happen. I was just trying to see how many treaties they have. None, right? Wait,
None.
up
So they would have to hold together to resist that.
Oh, that's tempting. Yeah. Because there's nothing else I could do. Well, unless I could get more recruits. I have a need for recruits.
Right. You can also take their leadership or their weaponry from them. That's
I know, but
that's a surplus they have.
But maybe I just want to use the treaty to get more recruits from them since they're doing so well.
So essentially,
We don't have recruit surplus though.
You'd have to ask them to give you to take a need.
Yeah, no, that's probably not a wise move. That will probably come back to bite me. So I think the spider. Yeah, that probably would be the case. The spiders don't like being bitten. So, yeah, I think then. The other thing, but what else can we do? So we've got this miasma that's coming in on all of us. So I think the spider might. I think the spider wants to find out if somebody's got an inkling of what this is. With his peoples dispersed all over the place.
Okay.
He should be able to find that out.
Sure. So one of the ways you can do this is, now again, remember these move names are actually broader than they are. Like, for example, conduct diplomacy is a way of gathering information as well.
Right.
You can also spend data to uncover secrets, but essentially with conduct diplomacy, we would roll with your reach to see what you could possibly find out.
Because the move that I have that talks about secrets, being dispersed, that's assuming that somebody else finds out a secret. So it's not fictionally making it so that they have a secret, is it?
No, if someone else finds out a secret about a threat or something, then you will find it out.
Okay. So that's not really what I'm trying to do. Or I guess, can we frame this as doing research?
Yeah, and so that's essentially how we would be rolling with reach. It's okay. Essentially the conduct diplomacy roll, and you're looking for information because that's one of the options under conduct diplomacy.
Okay. And I'm trying to think if I had anything else that helps me with my secrets, because I want them all. Spider wants to know. Spider just wants to know.
You can always spend tech to give yourself an advantage.
Yeah, and then and what are the spies good for as companions? Does that give you advantage, or?
So you have the +1 companions, right?
Mm-hmm.
The spies there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you could. I have to go back and look because if I recall correctly, it's mostly that you send them off on their own and they roll their score with it, which is less than your reach effectively there.
Okay, no, then I'll just do that.
Okay.
So just roll my reach.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my reach is pretty good. Maybe we'll get an answer to this miasma. Maybe the spider will solve all of our problems. Not likely. I rolled a 3 + 2. That's a 5. Go to town. Roll. Maybe I found out something really horrible.
So when you begin to look into this miasma to check what's going on, you will rapidly discover that the deeper your people dig and so on, the more people get infected. Almost as if the more they learn about this thing, the more susceptible they are to whatever is happening.
Mm.
It's not like any other disease you've seen. It's different. Like,
It's almost like it has a mind of its own.
yeah, it's almost like it's from something new, like something has changed here. You're not sure. But unfortunately, as a result, you're going to gain a need of essentially medicine because you have a bunch of people suddenly that you have to take care of because they fall prey to this. And I imagine the spider going down to watch, but keeping a distance. And they show no other outward marks, no bruises, nothing like that. They all look healthy for a time until they start to become emaciated, until they start to turn pale. And you can see the stages of when they fall under the sway of this. And there's nervousness within your family about what this means. The fact that even as you tried to figure it out, that you lost more people. Does that seem reasonable?
It seems horribly good.
Yes. Maria,
All right.
describe to me the campaign to kill the lawgivers.
Basically, so my family is dispersed. So I can sneak saboteurs and arsonists into any location.
Okay.
Basically, I'm going to spread all those saboteurs and arsonists to completely destroy the Seven Mercies.
Okay. Are we let's see. So this seems to me like we're rolling with claim by force. Do we want to look at the never outgunned thing? Is there anything you want to do with that?
I think I want to leave the battlefield in whatever direction you wish.
Oh yeah, you can. So your people won't even be touched. So you're essentially taking taking damage as a consequence off the table.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So sneak in, fire attacks, assassinations, destructions of their headquarters. Let's go ahead and have you roll grasp.
All right. Oh wait. 2d6 plus 3, and that's it. That is an 11.
That is an 11. So you have to choose one from that list. Ooh, echo.
Sorry.
I think the only one that really makes sense is that there's a cost to the victory.
Okay. Let's see. What is a good thing for that? Let me quickly look at the surplus thing there. So I think that destroy the lawgivers. I mean, they are not expecting it, and the people that were kind of helping them and serving under them for a time, turned on them. Essentially, you got that treaty that you used on them, and you are able to destroy them. However, within a few weeks, you will realize that, as you mentioned before at the start, they were holding something back. They were holding back another force through whatever methods or techniques that you just don't have access to. And strange things begin to happen. So you're going to get a need for scouts because you just don't have any information on what's going on there. Does that seem reasonable?
Cool.
There's a darkness there at the southern edge. Let's get last move, last word to you, Stephen. You've established a trade route. Things are good, except people are starting to die. and now there's chaos in the south.
Well, I'm not a movement in strength, so I don't think I can help very much with the loss of the lawgivers or the thunder coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But I might be able to do the right kind of research on the bliss.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that what I'm going to do is so one of my enclave moves is that I have deep knowledge. I have a well-curated and extensive store of records on certain fields.
Mm-hmm.
And the field that I chose was magic and artifice of the glorious past.
Okay.
So I think that, in the way that we've established the world, that's with biotech. And I think researching a disease like the bliss is something that would apply to that. That would give me fleeting advantage. What is fleeting advantage?
Not only fleeting advantage, you get to define a fact about it. I will tell you a thing about it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have you declare a fact about it. And then going forward from this scene on, when we come back next time, you're going to have advantage acting against it. Does that seem the right way to handle that?
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
It is not a physical virus. It is a mimetic infection. It is literally there is some kind of code phrase or mimetic phrase that is being passed from person to person. You're not sure how.
So that means that those who don't understand the language or the phrasing would not be impacted by this.
Okay. So there is a need for auditory and comprehension to be able to do that.
Yeah. So I think that maybe that means that the Enclave isn't as affected because they have established this symbiotic relationship with these little bug critters that can help take care of them and provide them food and sustenance. I think that maybe the bliss affects the Enclave. However, their people are less likely to die than others because of this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a great fact. We've established a fact. We've got threats on the table. We've done some family moves. We may zoom back. We may zoom into maybe dealing with one of these threats next time. But I want to stop there since we're at the 10:30 mark, and Gauntlet Con is tomorrow. Does that seem cool with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll do Roses and Thorns at the end of next session. When we'll talk about this level of play versus the previous and whatever we do next time. So I hope that that everyone is satisfied with what they got done. Maria crushed a faction. People were killed. Traitorous moves were made. Trade routes were established. So I hope that's enough for this. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast right now.